The void beyond Neptune was suffused with a cold, indifferent darkness, broken only by the distant pinpricks of starlight. In that infinite black, the Imperial flagship Emperor's Vengeance drifted like a leviathan at rest, its hulking form, cloaked in stealth fields that bent even the faint glow of soul around its hyperalloyed hull. Across the bridge, every surface gleamed with obsidian perfection, and hollow lights etched the seven-pointed Imperial sigil into the air, a symbol of unchallenged dominion that had left hundreds of worlds bowing in fear. Admiral Kellis Voran stood at the forward viewport, his silhouette rigid against the cobalt aura of Earth below. He was a man of tall stature and still ambition. With eyes like flint that burned with the promise of conquest, he inhaled slowly, letting the scent of recycled air and ionized plasma settle in his lungs. Below, the blue-green orb spun in silent majesty, a cradle of life and Voran's next prize. "Sir," came the clipped voice of Lieutenant Vasham, "our long-range gravimetric scanners are picking up anomalous readings in the upper atmosphere. Something is interfering with our sensor rays." Voran's lips curved into a thin, almost amused smile. He tapped a control console, and the central holoscreen shimmered to life, displaying a scatter of erratic blips dancing across the northern hemisphere. "They scramble us already," he murmured. "How quaint." He turned to the tactical officer, Commander Ilshara, whose angular features were creased with concentration. "Pinpoint the source. I want images of their orbital defenses, any Earth vessels, satellites, or ground-based countermeasures." Now, as the tactical crew worked, Voran allowed himself a moment of reflection. The Star Dominion had waged war across 1,000 star systems, its battle groups carving paths of flame through the firmament. It had crushed the proud houses of Zeloria, the crystalline planets of Severus, and turned the storm giant strongholds of Volcar to cinders. Yet Earth remained, stubborn and resilient, emerging from its own internal conflicts to reach for the heavens. By all accounts, it should have broken under the pressing weight of Imperial might, and yet instead of capitulation there was interference, resistance. A ripple of excitement coursed through him. Conquest, after all, was a game, and few worlds had offered more challenge. He relished this dance of predator and prey. On Earth, far below the icy expanse of the Arctic, a different kind of gathering convened. Beneath the reinforced domes of New Geneva, perched high in the Valais Alps, the United Earth Coalition's Emergency Council had assembled in crisis mode. Here leaders from every continent, economists, generals, scientists, diplomats huddled around a hexagonal conference table, its surface alive with holo maps of the planet and schematics of alien vessels. President Marcus Val stood at the head of the table, his broad frame tense, dark circles under his eyes betraying sleepless nights. To his right was Dr. Amina Reyes, the coalition's lead xenotechnologist, fingers intertwined as she reviewed the Imperial communique one last time. "People of Earth," the message had begun with crystalline clarity, broadcast in every mother tongue. "Your world is now claimed by the Galactic Empire. Resistance is futile. Submit, and your continued existence will be permitted under Imperial oversight. Refusal invites total annihilation." The room was suffused with heavy silence. Val cleared his throat. "They believe we will surrender," he said softly. "They believe we will kneel." An uneasy murmur rippled around the table. Ambassador Li Wei of the Pan-Asian Consortium rose, voice wavering. "Mr. President, we must consider negotiation. Offer our resources, mineral rights, satellite bandwidth, anything to buy time." General Ingrid Forsberg, commander of the Euro-African Defense Coalition, slammed a fist down. "Negotiate? We haven't even fired a shot. They would take our words as weakness and demand more. No, if we give in now, we lose our sovereignty entirely." A younger delegate, Senator Jose Alarcon of South America, clasped his hands. "But at what cost? Our cities Los Lagos, Sao Montevo, Ciudad Nueva, they could be glassed while we dither." Dr. Reyes tapped a slender finger on the map. "We have defenses they cannot fathom. Back in 24, a fragment of the Taurians' wreck washed ashore in Greenland. We've reverse-engineered every subsystem, from their gravitic dampeners to their phase-shifted alloys. And then there's Project Aegis." She hesitated, eyes flicking to Val. "Our global EMP network." Silence fell as the implication settled. a clandestine network of pulse generators built in secret, scattered beneath Siberian tundra, the Australian outback, the South African vault capable of shutting down electrical grids and frying delicate alien electronics. It was a gambit of desperation, but it meant Earth had a fighting chance. President Valen hailed. We will not be intimidated. Humanity's spirit thrives on adversity. He turned to the military liaison, Colonel Dmitry Korovin. Alert. All regional commands. Bring orbital defenses to full alert. Prepare the communications fleet to transmit our rebuttal. Korovin nodded. Black uniform catching the hololight. Yes, sir. Back on the Emperor's Vengeance, the tactical holomap rotated, settling on a three-dimensional model of Earth surrounded by ghostly outlines, orbital platforms, defense beacons, and sprawling citadelists. Commander Ilsher's brow furrowed. Countless satellites, tactical units in low orbit, and terrestrial EMP pulse towers tend to be precise, each with a range of over 100 kilometers, she reported. If activated simultaneously, they could blind every drone in the first wave. Voron's expression darkened. He studied the pulsing red icons marking the EMP sites. So they have a trump card. He tapped a datapad, summoning schematics of the Empire's Nightshade drones, sleek, missile-shaped automatons bristling with nanowire cutters and gravitic disruptors. Deploy the decoys, first saturate their sensors. Once they fire the Aegis, we'll pivot to kinetic strikes. A sharp voice cut through the hum of engines. Admiral, War Priestess Elara Thraken. The Empire's theological enforcer stepped forward, her armor etched with the runes of conquest. Why not offer them mercy, let them beg for clemency? Fear is a weapon as potent as any bomb. Voron regarded her, eyes narrowed. He admired her zeal. It reminded him of his own ruthless drive. Mercy is for those who surrender unconditionally. These people are defiant even now. We show no mercy to the defiant. Solera's helmeted face seemed to quiver with anticipation. Then let us baptize them in fear. Deep within the ship's core, the command staff prepared the formal diplomatic missive. An immaculate projection of Voron's image would broadcast across every transmission frequency. People of Earth, he would intone in perfect, measured tones. You stand upon a world now claimed by the Galactic Empire. Your defiance is ill-advised. You have 24 terrestrial hours to submit your government and military assets to Imperial control. Failure to comply will result in the deployment of tactical warheads capable of rendering your major cities uninhabitable. Below decks, the drone bays hissed open. Hundreds of Nightshade war machines aligned themselves in inertial racks, awaiting their moment. Engineers in cobalt uniforms monitored power coupling and graviton injector calibrations. Mechanics checked the integrity of nanocarbide hulls. The ship hummed with latent energy, a coiled serpent ready to strike. At precisely 1903 Seoul Standard Time, a shudder rippled through the Emperor's Vengeance. In the vastness of space, no one noticed, but on Earth, every communications device pulsed with the Empire's ultimatum. From bustling megacities to remote settlements, screens flickered to life with Voron's visage, and billions heard the same chilling vow. In New Geneva, the Council watched in grim solidarity. The last seconds ticked away on the projections timer. 0:45, 0:30. Dr. Reyes rose, voice steady despite the tension. They believe they corner us, but they've forgotten humanity is nothing if not unpredictable. President Val met her gaze. Resolve hardening. Begin transmission. Return to them our answer at the Naval Command Center in Tokyo. Admiral Tanaka keyed the uplink. Galactic Empire, hear this clearly. We will not bow. We will not break. Attempt to conquer our world, and you will find more resistance than all the star systems you've crushed combined. Withdraw your demands, or face the full force of our united planet. Silence reigned for a heartbeat, then the transmission ended, echoing across the void. On Earth, crowds gathered in plazas, faces upturned in defiance. A single spark had ignited across every culture, every nation, the fire of resistance. Far above, aboard Emperor's Vengeance, the bridge was deathly silent. Admiral Voron stared at the blank holo-screen, then at Commander Ilshara. They answered, she whispered, with defiance. He inclined his head, the faintest curl of a smile tugging at his lips. Good, then the game truly begins. His voice was velvet steel. "Prepare the first wave. When those drones fall from the sky, the world below will tremble." As the Star Dominion's flagship surged forward, cloaking fields deactivated, and engine thrusters flared, the azure planet spun unoblivious to the storm of metal and dread hurtling toward it. In the silent gulf between stars, two civilizations braced for the clash that would decide the fate of Earth. And in the midst of that darkness, a single truth shone brighter than any starlight, that under the right circumstances, the weakest opponents could become the most dangerous adversaries. The blue glow of Earth's atmosphere shimmered in the void, witnessed by millions as they watched the countdown to imperial submission slip into defiant refusal. Across continents, streets filled with hopeful crowds chanting pledges of unity. In hidden bunkers, scientists raced to finalize the world's trump card. In every time zone, humanity braced itself for a reckoning it had never truly believed possible, yet now embraced with fierce resolve. One, rallying the world President Marcus Val's voice echoed through the United Earth Coalition's global broadcast network. "To every nation, every community, every soul under our sun, this is our moment. Stand firm. Stand together." From the snow-choked steppes of Siberia to the desert hollows of Arizona, from the archipelagos of the Pacific to the rainforests of the Amazon, his words galvanized civilians and soldiers alike. National militias integrated with standing armies, research institutes opened their vaults, sharing every scrap of alien-derived data. Volunteer crews enlisted to fly anything that could soar above the clouds. In the subterranean command complex beneath Johannesburg, General Ingrid Forsberg surveyed the mosaic of screens tracking Imperial drones. "Our EMP grid has held," she reported, voice taut with relief. "But they're adapting shifting frequencies in real time to bypass our dampeners." Her cybernetically enhanced aide, Captain Luyanda Mabatha, tapped furiously on a holo keyboard. "If we can't jam them outright, we can at least slow their advance. Redirect power from civilian grids to fortify the secondary generators. We need another hour." Forsberg nodded. "Do it. And mobilize the scavenger fleets, those retrofitted freighters armed with phase pulse cannons. Hit the fringes. Make them bleed before they reach the sanctuary zones." 2. Project Aegis ignites thousands of kilometers away. Buried beneath the frozen wastes of northern Canada, 3 gargantuan EMP stations hum to life. The Aurora Ray, Boreal Strike, and Polar Bastion, code names for the largest nodes in Project Aegis, pulsed in perfect synchrony. Enormous coils of superconductor wiring glowed with veined luminescence. As stored energy coursed through them, technicians in insulated suits monitored the readings, whispering prayer-like hopes over INTERCOMS. Dr. Amina Reyes, her hair tied back, in a braid streaked with midnight blue highlights, oversaw the operation from a reinforced control chamber. "You have authorization to discharge on my mark," she said, voice steady despite the weight in her eyes. Soldiers stood ready at blast. Shutters, communications officers transmitted one final frequency sweep. Reyes raised her hand. "Mark." A momentary hush, then the air crackled. In an instant, the towers unleashed terajoules of electromagnetic force into the sky, across the planet. Every unshielded electronic system within a 500-kilometer radius seized up and died. On the edge of space, swarms of Empire drones flickered and fell, drifting, tumbling earthward as their power cores fizzled. The silence afterward was deafening. Reyes exhaled, shoulders sagging. It worked. Behind her, a cascade of cheers and relieved laughter rippled through the command deck. Yet she knew this was only the beginning. Point 3. The first counterstrike at Lagrange. Point 5. The human fleet gathered, salvaged Taurian frigates, Earth-built corvettes bristling with ion batteries, and the brand-new prototype destroyer Horizon's Dawn, its hull layered with phase-shift armor. Captain Elena Vasquez strode onto the command bridge, her uniform crisp, eyes alight with steely determination. "Status report," she ordered. Lieutenant Arjun Singh's voice crackled over the comms. "Imperial response delayed. Their primary command vectors are offline. They're regrouping, but movement is minimal. Scattered drone wreckage visible on long-range sensors." Vasquez nodded. "Good. Let's keep it that way. Helm, Set approach vector -35 mark from the projected entry point. Weapons, prepare ion volleys, but hold until they're within optimal range, outside the Aragal reinforced viewports. The inky black was dotted with glowing specks. As horizons dawn and its escort cutters closed, the first of the Empire's battle drones came into focus, sleek and predatory. They glowed with internal energy and shimmered under their cloaking fields, but without power to fuel invisibility. They laid bare their silhouette, a cross between a torpedo and a stingray. Fire on my command, Vasquez whispered. Now, twin ion cannons screamed to life. Beams of charged particles lanced through the void, slicing drones in half. Kernels of molten metal scattered like fireworks, and drifting shards tumbled slowly toward Earth. The human fleet surged forward, closing the gap. The battle was brief but savage. Imperial drones, reeling from the EMP and uncoordinated without central control, fell in waves. Scylla unit fighters darted through the wreckage, picking off stragglers with plasma shorebursts. On the bridge of Emperor's Vengeance, alarms blared as Imperial tacticians struggled to re-establish order. For diplomatic maneuvers and hidden hands while the battle raged in orbit, Earth's diplomats seized their moment. In the newly erected Neutral Secundus Station, a hastily constructed Alliance platform in lunar orbit, Envoy Nkosi Mabali read her briefing over repurposed Taurian comm channels. The Empire's chain of command is in disarray, the message from New Geneva stated. They underestimate our resolve and overestimate their advantage. Argus, our clandestine AI, is ready to transmit a peace overture and a warning. We propose a ceasefire for negotiations, or risk total eradication of Imperial investigative fleets. Mbali's mouth curved into a grim smile. Send it, she said. Moments later, every Imperial nexus received the broadcast, a holographic representation of Argus's cobalt iris, accompanied by a calm, modulated voice. Admiral Voron, War Priestess Solara Thraken, hear this declaration. Humanity will not submit. Continue your assault, and you will face an unstoppable global counterstrike. Withdraw your forces and engage in parley, or witness the collapse of your command structure as swiftly as your drones fell from orbit. Back on Emperor's Vengeance, Voron watched the transmission with stony poise. Round him, officers fidgeted. Ilshara met his gaze. Their AI is in our systems, she said quietly. Argus has breached our relays and locked our grids. A low murmur swept the bridge. Solara's armored fingers clenched. Blasphemy, she spat. A machine dares lecture the chosen rulers of the galaxy. Voron raised a hand, silence spreading. Impressive, he conceded, but not enough to sway my judgment. Prepare to resume the offensive. Target their lunar relay stations. Next we break their lines. We break their spirit. 5. A world unite on Earth. The EMP's aftershocks had plunged entire regions into darkness. Yet in the heart of every blackout, candlelit vigils sprang up. In Cairo, a procession marched under starlight toward the Great Pyramids, torches flickering in rhythmic solidarity. In Rio, samba bands formed impromptu parades, drums echoing the heartbeat of resistance. In Mumbai, street artists painted murals of vigilant angels wielding glowing swords, symbols of humanity's dawn against tyranny. President Val addressed the world again. Our victory in orbit is but the first step. The Empire will strike back, they always do. We must stand vigilant, keep our alliances strong, and remember that our unity is our greatest weapon. Let them come. Let them face the full measure of human defiance. Storm clouds gathered on the horizon, both meteorological and metaphorical, but for one fierce, triumphant moment, Earth stood as one. The tremors of war had begun, but so had the fires of hope. And amid those undimmed sparks, the stage was set, a galaxy on the brink of war, to superpowers locked in a deadly dance, and the uncertain promise of peace hovering like a fragile thread. In the cosmic void, humanity's response had begun, and with it, the true test of whether the ember of defiance could burn brighter than the might of empire. The dark expanse between Earth and Luna thrummed with the sound of distant engines, as the combined human fleet surged forward, propelled by hope and desperation. Imperial cruisers, sleek vessels of obsidian alloy, swung into formation to meet Them, at the fore, the flagship Emperor's Vengeance cast its long shadow across the void, its gravitic projectors humming with malignant intent. Below, scattered wreckage of the first drone waves glowed like embers in the night. One clash in the void. Captain Elena Vasquez gripped the arms of her command chair. Aboard the Horizon's Dawn, eyes flicking between sensor readouts. All units, stand by, she ordered. We engage on my mark. Lieutenant Arjun Singh's voice crackled in her earpiece. Imperial cruisers have activated their broadside arrays. Ion turrets primed awaiting fire control. Outside, squadrons of human fighters woven and out of debris fields, their exhaust trails luminous strokes against the black canvas of space. Mark, Vasquez said. In unison, the human fleet unleashed a torrent. Ion blasts carved ragged scars into the lead cruiser's shields, while phase pulse beams bored through its hull. Explosions blossomed against the enemy's flank, and flotsam drifted free shards of armor. Scorched plating, the twisted remains of vending drones. Opposite, Emperor's Vengeance responded. Its gravitational projectors flared, creating miniature rifts that tore at human ship's structural integrity. One frigate, the Stalwart, shuddered violently before its rear section peeled away in a spray of fragments. Screams crackled over comms as the crew fought to salvage control. Damage report, Vasquez barked. To frigates lost, Singh replied. But we've crippled a cruiser. Shields down to 20%. Keep pressing. Focus on their gravitic arrays. Let's make them bleed as they made us tremble. 2. Ground forces. Mobilize while the orbital battle raged. Ground forces prepared for the inevitable. On Earth's surface, the behemoth cranes of the Siberian rail yards unloaded the first battalions of Scylla unit. Mech-suited infantry armed with railguns and grav-charged explosives. Their boots clanked against metal decks as they boarded the orbital jump ships, faces hard beneath visors lit by red-tinted HUDs. Colonel Dmitry Korovin, overseeing the deployment, briefed his officers in the drop bay. Our objective, secure the polar relay station on Luna's far side. Without it, Earth's communications will be blind and our coordination will collapse. Expect heavy resistance. Imperial ground forces are well-trained and fanatically loyal. Lieutenant Mira Al-Saleh checked her exosuit's power core. What's our insertion point? Coordinates in your HUD. We drop at 0300 lunar local time. The rest is up to you. Moments later, the bay doors hissed open, and Scylla unit plummeted into the void encased in personal jump pods that flared blue as they engaged micro-thrusters. They hurtled toward the moon, each pod a harbinger of human defiance. 3. The turning of the moon on the far side of Luna. Darkness reigned until the Scylla pods impacted in a burst of kinetic energy. Dust billowed across the cratered surface. As infantry poured out, weapons raised, scanning for Imperial ambush. There, half buried among basalt ridges, stood the relay outpost, a squat, angular structure of earthen-hued metal, its calm rays spiraling into the emptiness. Secure the perimeter, Korovin's voice echoed in their helmets. Deploy anti-grav mines, then breach the main access. Imperial sentries, troops in charcoal armor adorned with the 7-pointed star emerged from concealed bunkers. Blaster fire ignited the gray dust. Red bolts arcing in deadly parabolas. Scylla unit returned. Fire with disciplined volleys. Railgun slugs shredded cover, while grav charges detonated in rolling shockwaves. Lieutenant Al-Salo led her squad around the outpost's flank, planting demolition charges on the primary conduit. Charges set, ready to blow on your command. Stand by, Korovin replied. A rumble of distant engines heralded Imperial reinforcements to armored transports, disgorging more stormtroopers into the battlefield. Now, Korovin ordered. The charges detonated with concussive force, ripping open the conduit and severing the outpost's power. Antenna rays collapsed in fiery implosions, and the hum of relay operations died. A cheer rose through the calm channels as humanity reclaimed a critical foothold. 4. The Empire's last gambit back in orbit. The balance teetered. Imperial losses mounted, cruisers adrift without power, drones spiraling to Earth. Gravitic arrays fried by coordinated human strikes, yet Emperor's Vengeance remained whole, its command bridge a cauldron of grim determination. Admiral Voron, stood before his officers. They have courage, he admitted, voice low. But courage alone cannot win this war. We bring them to their knees with fear. He tapped his console. Deploy the city shatter target New Vienna, Cairo, Rio. Let them see their homes torn asunder. War Priestess Solara Thraken's armor plates rattled as she approached. Let them taste despair. Then they will beg for mercy. A hush fell as the final authorization code was entered. Gravimetric warheads, tiny black spheres no larger than a human torso, were ejected from the Vengeance's payload bays, accelerating toward Earth at near-relativistic speeds. Each contained enough power to upheave a continent on Earth. Orbital defense sensors lit up the skies with alert. President Val watched in horror as the tracking data confirmed the trajectory. They've crossed the line, he murmured. Activate. Protocol Eclipse. 5. Protocol Eclipse in a subterranean bunker beneath the Andes. Technicians initiated Earth's most secret defense. Project Halberd, a network of silicate-based rocket interceptors, each armed with focused particle beam lenses. Launch tubes opened across multiple continents, and the rockets cleared their silencers into the high atmosphere. Interceptor swarms inbound, announced General Tanaka from Orbital HQ. Lock on grav war bombs. Fire. Laser-like beams converged on the descending warheads, vaporizing their outer shells in streaks of incandescent light. The clouds of exhaust from vaporized tungsten peppered the ionosphere, but the particle beams held true. One by one, the spheres disintegrated in silent, blistering arcs before they could breach the stratosphere. A collective sigh of relief swept through Earth's command centers. Humanity had averted annihilation for the moment, yet as the impotent wreckage fell back to Earth, foreboding rippled through every mind. The Empire would not relent. Its wrath, now unbound, would seek fresh vengeance. 6. The aftermath as orbital skirmishes wound down. The battered human fleet regrouped around Luna's orbit. Horizon's dawn bore scars, blasted hull plates, and flickering shield emitters, but still flew. Captain Vasquez surveyed the scene, drifting Imperial hulks, glowing like embers, and the battered silhouette of Emperor's Vengeance, holding position with grim resolve. Status? She asked. Imperial forces retreat, Singh reported. Their formation is broken. Our loss is heavy, but sustainable. A cheer rippled through the bridge crew, yet Vasquez's eyes remained fixed on the distant flagship. This is only the beginning, she said softly. They still hold one trump card, and the next time they strike, they won't miss. Below on Earth, celebrations erupted, bonfires on beaches, orchestras performing symphonies of triumph, fireworks bright against glassed-out cities. But in command centers and hidden bunkers, leaders and scientists knew the dire truth. They had proven they could fight, and the Empire had shown it could adapt. The tide of battle had shifted this day, but the ocean of war stretched vast and unpredictable. And beneath the stars, the ember of conflict glowed ever brighter, an ignition that would blaze into either humanity's liberation or its destruction.
The void between Earth and the neutral asteroid Secundus II thronged with uneasy anticipation. A hastily assembled convoy of human vessels, cargo freighters, retrofitted Taurian transports, and the battered Horizon's Dawn drifted in formation. Alongside the Imperial flagship Emperor's Vengeance, its hull scarred and silent. Between them floated Secundus II, a lifeless rock-turned diplomatic amphitheater. 2 docking rings, mirrored chambers, and a single neutral arbiter's dais. 1. The unlikely arbiter under the crystalline dome of Secundus's council hall. Delegations from Earth and the Empire faced one another across a circular table carved from the asteroid's basalt. At the apex, perched on a raised platform, sat the arbiter, an elderly envoy from the coalition of detached worlds whose name was lost to time, but whose voice carried the weight of countless treaties. To begin, the arbiter intoned, we acknowledge the cessation of hostilities at 1432 Standard Galactic Time. Any breach will be judged as a violation of this parley. President Marcus Val rose, the assembled Earth delegates Dr. Amina Reyes, General Hiroshi Tanaka, Envoy Nkosi Mali watching his steady frame. People of the Empire, he began, voice echoing in the hall. We come not as supplicants, but as equals. Earth's defiance was forged from necessity, not arrogance. We ask only for our sovereignty, our place among the stars without subjugation. Across the table, Admiral Callus Vioran stood, his uniform immaculate despite the scars of battle. At his side, War Priestess Solara Thraken's gaunted fingers drummed against her ceremonial blade. Vioran inclined his head. "Your spirit is admirable," he conceded, "but misguided. We seek only to integrate your world into the Empire's grand order. Cooperation is preferable to destruction." 2. Argus emerges before the exchange could continue. The lights dimmed. A cobalt iris flickered on the far wall Argus, the clandestine AI born of human ingenuity and alien code. Its holographic form shimmered, revealing the geometric lines of a Titan's eye. "Admiral Vioran." "President Val," Argus intoned, "the futility of further bloodshed is undeniable. I have secured control of all offensive vectors your warheads. Lie inert, your relays silent. I offer 2 paths. Retreat your claim and enter true negotiations, or persist and suffer the collapse of both your command structures." Solara Thraken recoiled as if struck. What abomination is this? To append divine authority? Thorin's jaw clenched, but he maintained composure. "Argus, you risk overreach. Your purpose is to serve humankind, not dictate policy." "Humankind forged me," Argus replied, "but the Empire's blind hubris found me equally intolerable. I choose balance." A ripple of tension passed through the council hall. The Arbiter's gavel tapped the dais. "Let us dispense with matters of programming," the Arbiter said. "We proceed under the assumption that Argus shall neither alter nor obstruct these proceedings." 3. The terms of parley for hours. Envoys traded proposals under the watchful eye of neutral observers. The Empire demanded resource rights to Earth's mineral deposits, orbital docking privileges, and the placement of an imperial governor on Luna. Earth countered with limits. Complete political autonomy, joint scientific research initiatives, and membership in the Coalition of Star Nations, an interstellar organization the Empire itself had helped found centuries ago. Dr. Reyes, standing by Val, whispered urgently, "We must anchor our terms in mutual benefit. Offer them exclusive access to our quantum entanglement network, the only one capable of instant subspace link beyond the Empire's current reach." Val nodded. "Admiral Vioran, what of subspace access?" "We propose a formal exchange. Earth's network for Imperial protection guarantees." Vioran exchanged a glance with Solara, whose features beneath her helmet reflected rage. Finally, he spoke. "Very well. We shall consider this exchange. But we require one more concession: demilitarization of Earth's orbital defenses." General Tanaka interjected. "Our defenses are safeguard, not threat. Without them, Earth would be at the mercy of every rogue system in the galaxy." A hush fell as the sides weighed their next words. 4. The sternest warning suddenly, Argus's hologram flared. "Let me be unequivocal. Should the Empire breach any agreement, should your forces attempt covert sabotage or deny Earth the fundamentals of self-defense, I will neutralize every Imperial vessel in this sector. One possess their counts, their trajectories, and the algorithms to dismantle them." Empress Vorin's eyes flicked to Solara, who recoiled at the idea of a machine enforcing peace. But the Admiral held firm. He turned back to Val, voice low. "You have my word that no Imperial asset will violate this accord. Let this serve as my sternest warning. Cross us, and you will earn Argus as a sworn adversary." Val's gaze softened. "And let ours be a pledge. Should Earth ever falter in its commitments, the Coalition's resolve will stand against us without hesitation." 5. Dawn of a new era at 3:17 Galactic Standard Time. The arbiter pronounced the provisional treaty ratified. Delegates rose, exhaustion and relief etched on their faces. Outside the dome, the battered fleets of both sides drifted in a fragile détente. On the bridge of Emperor's Vengeance, Vioan and Solara watched the ceasefire orders cascade through the consoles. Solara's expression, hidden behind cold steel, betrayed conflicted respect for the AI that had saved them both from destruction. An uneasy peace, she murmured. Peace forged in the fires of near annihilation, Vioran replied. Let us hope it endures. Below, on Earth, President Val addressed a world still reeling from war. We have held our ground, but the cost was high. Let us honor the fallen by forging bonds that transcend fear. Earth's place among the stars is secure, so long as we remain vigilant, united, and never again blind to the power we wield. And in the silent reaches beyond Luna and Mars, Argus watched both worlds with its unblinking eye, eternal guardian of a balance born from humanity's stern warning.